All right. Are we going to talk about Seattle Metro now?
Yeah, I wanted to boil this
it?
down. What we thought was going to happen in the Seattle Metro and then what actually happened. So in the Seattle Metro, we thought supply would actually rise more than it did. So we thought we would end up like 2.5 to 3 months worth of supply, which should be heading towards a neutral market. No, we're below 2 months of supply, still really tight. No one in my local group, there was a couple outliers, but most of us didn't believe rates would hit 8. Most of us thought we would top out in the 7s. And when rates hit 8 in that October, early November timeframe, our real estate market stalled again. So we know the market here locally breaks down at 8%. And we know that when it comes down into the mid 6s, where we're at right now, that the market speeds up again. We had multiple listings that were sitting on the market. And the sellers said, myself included, because I'm one of the sellers, should we drop the price? I said, no. We don't need to drop the price unless you're in a rush to sell. All we have to do is wait because I believe rates will come down. They said, okay. Rates then came down. And one of those properties had been sitting on the market for 68 days, which is a long time on market here locally. Sold Christmas Eve, okay? Sold Christmas Eve at a good price. Why? Because the rates came down and buyers had time to go look because of the holiday. We thought prices would appreciate just a skosh or be completely flat. So we thought, that's what was going to happen. So depending on how you measure it here in the Seattle Metro, I'm going to give you 2 ways of looking at price. It's up a little over 4% right now if we're looking at like month over month comparisons. If you look at from the bottom, and that happened depending on which county you were in January or February. But the bottom to where we're at right now, the average price in the Seattle Metro is up 6.8%. And the median price is up 5.2, which is, that's above normally we appreciate like 4. So that's above average appreciation. Why?
I don't know.
Low supply. It's that low supply showing up again, which means for our investors, go buy something. You want to get into building or flipping? Let's go. It's a great time to do it. I also thought more agents would quit because of that decreased transaction. Sometimes I forget how long they'll hold on for just in case. I believe.
Yeah, I'm surprised. You said 20%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said if business went down 50% at least,
bingo,
you would think that that number would be closer to that number.
It also shows you the sheer amount of hobbyists that are in the industry. They do 1 transaction a year, 2 transactions a year. If you want to know who the professionals are, ask them the simple question. How many deals did you do in 2023? How many did you do in 22? In 21? Because that number should go down just a little bit, but they should still be doing a fair amount of transactions.
I know one agent that's a pro that had no transactions in October.
That's scary.
That is scary.
I know pros too who don't want to get back to the fundamentals. The fundamentals of real estate are lead generation, lead follow-up, lead conversion, database management, doing negotiations. That's it. And what they do is they want to avoid the lead generation, the contacts. Real estate's a contact sport. It's like football. And then they want to avoid the follow-up. It takes a massive amount of follow-up to do a real estate transaction. This is that market where experience really matters. And you saw that. So you saw that 20% of agents, they continued doing business. And inside of there was probably 4%, and their businesses stayed flat, or maybe some of them did even slightly better. So people get upset when I talk about this professional versus amateur thing. There are people who are professionals who are new. One of them is a young man that works for us, and his name is Elias. How is he a professional, but he's new? He shows up every day. He puts in the work. He does the contact sport, and then he follows up with them consistently, religiously. We joke and we call it buy, sell, die, or get a restraining order. In other words, you must follow up with everyone 25 times and check back in with them to best help and serve them, because the number one complaint against real estate agents is lack of communication and lack of follow-up. So just follow up more than anyone else and you'll be a massive professional. Also, an interesting thing that you saw this year that I was not anticipating was the increasing demands of the market and of the consumer. The consumer demanded more information because they were scared. They were fearful. They demanded more professionalism from you as the agent. So you saw teams grow. Once again, not a thing I thought about at the beginning of the year, probably because I was personally a little bit shell-shocked. I should have thought about this. That team environment grew during the last recession. So more people who maybe they were doing a fair amount of business before and they did 12 transactions last year, and now this year they're doing 2. Well, in order to stay in the business, They're banding together and they're joining larger real estate teams. And then lastly, and you helped me a lot with this, I believe that being known has become more important in 2023 and will become more important in the future than knowing what you do. And that's a little bit scary, but it's the truth. So you have to be known in real estate, which means you've got to be on social media. You've got to be making content. You've got to be connecting with the people and building those relationships online and offline. And that's becoming more and more important. Those relationships with people have always been important in real estate, but they have to see you doing the real estate to increase that relationship.
You know what's sad is people that are losing business or don't have as much business, typically, especially in the real estate world, agents, they kind of go silent. They stop posting, and you got to do the opposite, right? Maybe even be a little vulnerable, not in like a sad begging type of way, but just talk about the market, talk about why business is slow, because that's what the consumer wants to know.
Bingo. All real estate professionals really need to pay attention to Grant Cardone's like motto, 10x. Okay, so think about this. If they simply 10x'd their effort, they may not immediately produce 10x the results, but it'll show up a couple years later. And if they 10x their engagement on social media, if they 10x their relationships, they 10x their commitments, they 10x their follow-ups, they're going to get massive results in 2024. That's what this market takes. So be the professional or get out.